Hi there, I'm Geoff Watts and welcome to the Agile by Example conference. I'm here to just give you a quick welcome and introduction, and hopefully next year I might be able to join you for something a little bit more proper, let's say. I know that you're in for a treat over the next couple of days because you're going to be hearing from and learning from a lot of great people who have been and still are great examples of both the what and the how of Agile. Great people to learn from. And I know that you're all probably wishing that you were able to be there in person, and I'd love to be there too. Then nothing really beats that togetherness that you get at a great conference, the chats in the corridors and over drinks and meals in the evening. And there are thousands of teams around the world in every country every day waking up thinking, I wish we could be together rather than stuck remotely. But we can't, and that's the reality, and we have to deal with that. But the physical distancing that we're now experiencing doesn't mean that we can't be a team. It doesn't mean that we can't have a great conference. I think there are lots and lots of different factors that affect the ability to be a great team, but some of them I would say are non-negotiable. But actually being physically together, I don't think is a non-negotiable mandatory factor anymore. I probably would have done a few years ago, but not anymore. And I'm sure that you, like me, have been in situations, in teams, where just because you're in the same place doesn't mean that you're going to be a great productive team. We've all probably been in those situations where we just haven't clicked, it hasn't worked, even though we have been together. So it's not a given that physical co-location is going to work. And like me, you've probably been in some teams that haven't been physically co-located and yet have been incredibly productive and successful and a great team to be part of. For example, when I wrote my books, I never met the designers, the illustrators, the editors, the printers, never met them at all, and none of them met each other. And yet we still managed to have a great time and I think have some success together. So while there's no denying it takes more effort. Okay, if we're physically distant from one another, it does take more effort for things to work out well. And it takes more effort from everyone. Every single person needs to consciously work a little bit harder and work towards their own level of mastery. Whether it's your scrum masters or your product owners, your team members, your coaches, your leaders, everybody needs to just do something a little bit more, something a little bit different. So scrum masters, it's not enough to just know Scrum and to be able to facilitate a retrospective. We know that. Right? We need to do more. We need to work out how best to serve our teams in these new circumstances. We need to work out how to be there for our teams without turning their days into multiple Zoom calls. We want them to know that we're there for them, but we can't be constantly interrupting them. And that's a really tough balance to strike, so we need to figure it out. We need to deal with new types of impediments. There are new barriers now. There are new sources of stress, all of which makes it a little bit more difficult to be an effective Scrum Master. But there are also new opportunities, and there are new potentials for efficiencies and effectiveness. And the great Scrum Masters out there, they focus on the opportunities, because when you focus on opportunities, you see more opportunities. When you focus on problems, you see more problems. Great Scrum Masters are working on themselves all the time. Product owners, it's no different for them. Okay, we all know that being a product owner isn't just about being able to put user stories into Jira and prioritize into high, medium and low. It's a lot more than that. And now it's even more than that. Okay, product owners need to engage, they need to empower their teams and themselves. They need to listen to stakeholders and find out new ways of listening to our stakeholders, getting information from our users, from our customers, finding new ways to gather data, to get insights into the market, and to how our users are using our products. Our product owners, they need to be even more ruthless than they were before about their priorities. And they need to make good decisions, as ever, but with probably less complete data than before. And that's difficult. And all the while, they need to become more flexible, more versatile in their leadership styles, because our teams, our stakeholders, our products are going to need different things now. And when it comes to our teams, just worrying about getting our own tasks done was never enough for a great team. But it's even more important now that we develop our relationships with our team members, with our colleagues. We support each other. We build our sense of team identity stronger than ever before. I've never seen a great team that hasn't got a strong identity. And that identity will help pull us through the difficult challenges that we face along the road to team maturity, towards team mastery. And now it's going to be even more challenging than before because we don't have the opportunity to bond as strongly or as quickly as we used to. So we have to find new ways. We have to work more consciously, more mindfully. And the coaches, okay? Agile coaches, team coaches, leadership coaches, more than ever before, we now need to really follow that practice of meeting people where they are. Because everybody is coming to work from a different place. We all have our unique, specific starting point and our situations. And the great coaches meet every single individual, every single team, where that individual or that team is. Not where we expect them to be, or where the standard is, or where the average is. Where they are, and then helping them work out how they can take things forward for themselves. The idea of unconditional positive regard is important more than ever before, because when we're distant and physically not together anymore, we generally think less favourably of people. It's a weird foible of our human nature, our human psychology. We get more suspicious of people when we can't see them. So we need to consciously, mindfully get ourselves into the mindset of people are good. There are very few people who actively want to do a bad job or sabotage us or the organisation. And just remind ourselves of that. Everybody needs to innovate now, to find different ways to communicate, to collaborate, to create. We need to work out, and then once we've worked it out, focus on what really matters for our organisations, for our companies, for our products, for our teams, for ourselves. And we need to keep talking, keep listening, keep sharing and caring. There's no doubt now that we are in times of uncertainty and volatility. We always were, but it's more magnified and amplified now. And the natural human response to those kind of conditions is to sort of hunker down and play it safe. And that's not always a bad idea, but often the best way to reduce uncertainty and complexity, and then by doing that we begin to feel more comfortable, the best way is often to take back control by experimenting, by treating our situation as an opportunity to start something new, to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. Because, I mean, let's face it, we're probably feeling uncomfortable anyway, so let's consciously take a step out of our comfort zone. But you don't have to do it alone. There is safety in numbers, and, as the saying goes, if you want to go far, go with others. And conferences like this are a great way to keep connected, not just within your inner circle, but the wider tribe that you're part of, the Agile community. The leadership teams that I'm working with at the moment, they're struggling, all right, because they're dealing with unknowns, they're dealing with their own uncertainty and ambiguity, they're dealing with their own vulnerabilities, but also looking to try and create some safety for their people to be brave. And they're not pretending to have the answers, because these days great leaders, they're not expected to have the answers. Instead, they're focusing on finding the right questions. Those questions that will empower, encourage, and enable their people. And it's not easy. Right? Not only do we need to keep looking for good examples. Okay, good examples that we can model. All right. But we also need to keep being good examples so that others can role model that as well. They can see that it's possible and they've got something that they can look to. And that role modeling is generally imperfection. It's good integrity, all right? It's good intention. So try things with good intention and integrity, but know that they're not all going to work, and that's part of it. So show your vulnerability. Ask for help. Offer help. Keep learning. Keep teaching. Keep mentoring. Keep coaching, but most of all, keep going. All right. I mentioned about asking for help there. It's a really important thing now. We need to be asking for help, not from all aspects really. And one of the things that I found really interesting while working with many people, but more often than not leaders, is the sense that I shouldn't be asking for help because it shows weakness. But when we think about it, when somebody asks them for help, they don't see that as weakness. They see that as strength, in effect. So they're judging themselves by different standards. Equally, other people have told me that when we get down to it, they don't tend to ask for help because they see it as putting a burden or an obligation on somebody when they've already got enough on their plate. But again, when we talk about how they feel when somebody asks them for help, they generally don't see it as a burden or an obligation. They see it as they're being trusted. They see it as an honor to be asked for help, to be trusted with this person's vulnerability. So be generous and ask for help. It's not selfish, it's generous, because you're giving somebody else the opportunity to feel good about first of all, the fact that you asked them for help, you trusted them enough to ask for help, but also to feel good about being able to provide you with some help. So be generous and ask for help. And when there's an opportunity to help somebody else, be selfish. Take it. Offer your help. Feel good about helping other people. Now, as I said at the start, I'm sure you're going to have a great couple of days. And, I wish I was there as well. But I hope I can be there with you next year if the stars align. In the meantime, though, enjoy yourselves, enjoy the journey, take care of yourselves, and keep being agile by example.